Hey guys, coming at you with another Dragonmaid video. Hope you guys aren't bored yet. Um, I've just been super excited about the deck, and just I've been making little tweaks here and there. But this is actually the 60 card version that I wanted to share with you guys. And ever since then, I've actually added some new cards, changed out a couple of cards. For the most part, it's very similar to the original build that I showed you. But we did add some engine cards. We added some more extenders, and I feel like it raises the ceiling for this deck big time. It allows us to play through hand traps better. It allows us to play through disruptions more. And I feel like what we've added to the deck has only made it more powerful. As powerful as a Dragonmaid deck can get. So I would call this combo Dragonmaid. I would call it, Dragon Link Dragonmaid. You could call it that too. I initially wanted to, which I still do. The main goal with this deck is to use the Dragonmaid card, take advantage of the powerful Dragonmaid effects as much as we can, and priority is being able to summon, Xiao, along with other monsters from the extra deck to help, build an unbreakable board. It's breakable, but I mean it's pretty tough to get over in my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoy. I don't want to ramble on too much, so let's get right into the deck profile. It's 60 cards. It's thick. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's 60 cards, so not sure how some of you feel about 60 card decks, but I feel like dragons, they can take advantage of this. They can actually take advantage of just playing a ton of extenders, a ton of different engine cards that help raise the ceiling. And like I mentioned before, it helps you play through hand traps, and then it helps you end on a very powerful board. So we're gonna start off with the Dragonmaid cards. So we're playing 3 chamber. So, self-explanatory, but if anybody needs explaining, chamber does search for any Dragonmaid spell or trap on summon. So she's great because she searches the fusion spell, which is Dragonmaid Changeover, directly to the hand. She also searches for Hospitality, which is the in-archetype Monster Reborn, and it also special summons from the hand, which is amazing. So it gives you that versatility to be able to summon from the hand as well. So she searches both those spells along with the new trap, Dragonmaid Tidying, which will, we'll get to that. Oh my god, my cat. I feel like she always goes crazy in any video that I post. Next up, we have Parlor Dragonmaid. So these two are the best Dragonmaids to open up with. Mainly because they do things on their own. They're combo starters on their own. Parlor, she sends the new trap to the grave, which is a Monster Reborn or Call of the Haunted. It's just another way to extend. So she does that on her own. We can summon Parlor, going to use the effect, send the Dragonmaid Tiding, which is the trap, and then link off into Striker Dragon, banish the trap, summon her back. Which is really nice because off one card you're able to get the ball rolling, you're able to get your combos going, and same thing with Chamber. She's able to do the same thing because she searches for Hospitality from the deck as well. So that's why you want to max out on both of them. Then we play 3 Kitchen. Kitchen is she's always been good. She searches any Dragonmaid, then sends any Dragonmaid. She searches any Dragonmaid monster, and then after searching, you send any Dragonmaid monster from your hand to the grave. So you could either send the same copy that you searched. So for example, normal summon Kitchen, search Parlor. I can choose to send Parlor to the graveyard on resolution, or if I have another Dragonmaid in hand that I want to send to the grave, I can send that to the grave as well. So it's nice because she sets up your graveyard for to start comboing off. We play 1 Nurse. You play 1 because you can easily gain access to this card through searching for it, or you can also send it to the grave with so many other spells that we play that are able to send this to the grave and then reborn it. We can summon it off Hieratic. Hieratic Seal, Heavenly Spheres, the Link 2. So it's just, we could send it off Parlor. So there's so many ways to gain access to this card. And then lastly, for the Dragonmaid main deck monsters, we play one Dragonmaid Lorepar. The reason that we play one is because we only need one to tag out. So say like and also it's a free. We can actually send this to the grave for free if we revive Parlor with Hospitality, since Hospitality says that you can send this the same attribute but with a different level. We can just send Lorepar because they're both wind. Obviously, Lorepar is the bigger version, the dragon form of Parlor. So we play one because we can tag out 1, 2, and 3. All these 9 copies can tag out and summon this from the hand or deck during the battle phase. Nurse is the only one that can, but I mean, you play one copy of Nurse, you're more than likely going to have, if you're going to be tagging out, you're going to have one of these 3. Most likely Chamber and then Parlor afterwards. You're never really going to have Kitchen on the field during your opponent's turn. During your standby, you're going to be able to summon Chamber back or Parlor. So both those monsters can tag out into Lorepar, so we play that one copy. Plus, going second, Lorepar can, you can discard Lorepar, target a monster on the field. It can't activate its effect, so it can bait out negates. So we play just one big dragon, just because apart from Lorepar, the other ones don't really do enough for you to justify playing them. Again, this is my preference, in my opinion. And Ernest would be the one I would play, which I did play in the first deck profile that I posted, but I cut Ernest for other more important extenders, which you guys will see in a second. So that is it for the Dragonmaid main deck monsters. So I believe it's 10, 11. Okay, and then for our other dragons, for other normal summons, so we have Star Liege Seifert. So we added this card into the deck because Seifert just does a lot on its own. You normal summon Seifert, you're able to either send itself or you can send a level 4 in your hand to the grave to search either White Dragon or Black Dragon. We play both those cards, spoiler if anybody was wondering. Or we can search for Levianeer, we could search for 7s, we can search for 3s, we can search for pretty much any dragon in the deck. Like hoping that, we have the levels to be able to send. But yeah, Safer just awesome because, again, you could send itself, or to maintain board presence, you could even send cards from your hand to be able to search, which is awesome. And then plus you could banish it from the grave to be able to add like Levianeer back to the hand from grave, which is really nice. And then we're gonna move on to the rocket engine. So we were playing 2 rocket, 1 silver. We were playing Magna Rocket, but I swapped it out for a Recharger. The reason being is because Recharger is an awesome card to help you recover in case you get hand trapped by, say, like Ghost Ogre or a Gamma even. Because what a Recharger does is that if an extra deck monster, if a dark monster you control that was special summoned from the extra deck is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send this card from your field or hand, target that monster, the monster that was destroyed, and then special summon a different monster with a different name. But it's obviously a dark monster, but it has to just have a different name. But that's totally fine because you're able to at least keep pushing through hand traps. So you could push through a hand trap like Gamma if you have access to this card in your opening hand. So that's mainly why I swapped it out for Magna Rocket, because it has that extra utility, which is a very strong, powerful effect. So it's definitely worth it to swap this out to swap Magna Rocket out for Recharger. And then Silver Rocket, the effect never really comes up to look at your opponent's extra deck, but if it does, it's nice to have. And plus it's just the strongest. It's 1900, so it's a nice beat stick as well. And then 2 Tracer, because we can search it off Router, which we play 2 of. Should have included that as well with the rocket engine. So we play 2 Router. Router gets you access to any of these cards. We mainly always search for Tracer, and plus we play 3 Quick Launch. And there's just so many ways to access these dragon cards. So even if the ratios might not seem like, you know, too like if they seem too little, that's because we play so many other cards to gain access to those cards. And then for the 1-ofs, we play the 1 Chaos Dragon Levianeer. We play Levianeer because it's just it's a very good out to so many cards that can be targeted but can be destroyed. This can take care of. We can snipe a card out of our opponent's hand, so that way they have 1 less card to play with during their turn. It's also a very easy monster to summon. It's a level 8, which is relevant. It's so many good things about this card. Yeah, not much else to say about Levianeer. It's so good. Also, if they have you under the Buster Lock, this can at least pop the Destruction Sword that's equipped, so you're able to access your extra deck afterwards. So this is one of the outs you have for that card, and it's searchable with Safer, which is nice. Moving on to the other 1-ofs, we play Darkness Metal, and then we also play Black Metal Dragon. So I decided to include Black Metal in this version of the deck because it actually makes your Saryuja play more powerful. And it makes it more powerful because we summon this card off LP, and then after we link it off, we gain access to Darkness Metal. So before, I would just summon Darkness Metal directly from the deck with LP's effect. But the reason that this is stronger play is that when you're trying to go for your Saryuja play, if you go Saryuja and then they ask Saryuja, it sucks, like pretty bad. So you want to make sure to do your best to chain block Saryuja. So what happens is when you summon this off LP, you use Romulus and Black Metal to go into Triple Burst, and then you search Darkness Metal, and then you would banish the LP to summon Red Eye's Darkness Metal, and then you would summon Black Metal again, and then with LP you would summon another monster. So now you have multiple monsters that you can use for Saryuja. And so the main point I'm trying to get to is you use Black Metal as one of the materials for Saryuja. So that way you're able to chain block, and you could go Saryuja Chainlink 1, Black Metal Chainlink 2. So you could search for another Red Eyes card, and then that would allow your Saryuja to resolve. So even if they had Gamma, even if they had or Ash, they would be ashing this or using Gamma on Black Metal, and Saryuja would be able to resolve. So that's why I feel like this is a super powerful, like little tiny engine, I guess. It's not really an engine, but it's just a really good card to play to be able to have that interaction. It's a very powerful interaction that ensures that you're going to be able to combo off and draw into more extenders, more combo pieces. So next up we play Black Dragon and White Dragon. These are very like self-explanatory in any Dragon Link deck, and they're just as powerful in Dragon combo Dragonmaid. They're just super powerful. They replace themselves. So if you use one to go into Romulus, black will search white, white will search black, and then you're able to go into your LP and Pisty. Guard Dragon plays much easier with these 2 cards. So just really great extenders. You always I love cards that just replace themselves for free. It just helps you keep going. It helps you maintain card advantage. It's a no-brainer when it comes to Dragon Link. And then for the other 1-ofs, let's see. I'll try to fit all the 1-ofs if I can. Actually, yeah, I could. So we have Galactic Spiral, which again is a new addition. Tempest, Noctovision Dragon, which is a new addition, and Brotar, and then lastly we have Dragoon Engine Phalanx. So just very quickly going over these cards, Galactic is an amazing extender, and it's also great discard fodder for like Dragon Ravine And even if you if you fusion summon to Dragonmaid Chow, which is this card, it takes one Dragonmaid plus one level 5 or higher dragon monster. So it's just awesome to be able to fusion summon using this card and get just free value out of this card, because once it's in the graveyard, after it's been used for fusion material, if you control two light or dark or a combination of both dragon types, you can special summon this for free from the grave or hand, right? Just double check. Yeah, well, hand or grave. So it's just it's awesome. It's awesome to be able to fusion summon, use this as a free fusion material, then get it back on the field for free. Just amazing. Tempest, it keeps coming back every turn. The thing that sucks about Spiral is that if you use its effect, it gets banished when it leaves the field. Granted, it doesn't need to banish other dragon cards like Tempest needs to, but at least Tempest can keep coming back every turn because you're going to have plenty of dragons to banish. So it's nice to have Tempest for that. It's a level 7, which is nice. It means it's a high level monster that we can use again for Dragonmaid Xiao. Link material. It's such a great card. And then Noctovision, it's a new extender that I decided to play. I'm only playing one copy because it's just a good extender. If you open it, you open it. If you draw it off Saryuja, it's nice. If you if you open it with your hand, it's good as well. So the thing is, you play this card because if you summon any dragon, any dark dragon, okay, if a dark dragon monster or monsters are special summoned to your field, you can just special summon this for free. But honestly, what makes this card so good is the fact that after you use it as link material, you could draw a card. So like I said, like I mentioned before with Black Dragon and White Dragon, the reason these cards are amazing, besides being very easy to summon, is that they replace themselves. White searches for black, black searches for white. Granted, these are better because they search for specific cards that you need, but just to have Noctovision just draw you a card, replacing itself, is amazing. So again, you don't lose any advantage at all. And it's just it's a very strong extender because it's easy to summon. And like I mentioned before, it being a level 7 is relevant for the Dragonmaid fusions. And then lastly, we play Brotar. Brotar is it's definitely one of my favorite one-ofs because if you're in a tight position where you need access to a certain dragon type monster like Levianeer or any other dark dragon type monster, you can simply crash with your one of your monsters, and then if they're destroyed by battle or card effect, Brotar has the effect that it could special summon itself, and then on summon, you'd be able to discard a card, target itself, search for Levianeer, search for Dragonmaid Chamber, search for Galactic, search for Nocto. It's pretty much anything that matches the type and attribute. So it's just a really good card. It's also a great card to summon a Hieratic Seal. So say after you bounce a card with Hieratic Seal, you summon Brotar, discard a card, and then search Levianeer for a follow-up play. Actually, we have two more one-ofs in the deck, and that is Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon. So you play these only because we play the Dragoon Engine. As I mentioned before, in my last Dragonmaid deck profile, we are going to play, and we are playing the Dragoon Engine because Dragoon is just too strong of a card, and I feel like this is actually one of the better decks that takes advantage of that card, only because if you draw, if you draw Red Eyes Black Dragon, if you draw Dark Magician, or even if you draw Red Eyes Fusion, because we play Saryuja, and there's not many decks that play Saryuja, but because we do play Saryuja, we're able to shuffle all these bricks back into the hand. And actually a cool interaction with Black Metal is when you first summon Black Metal, after you link it off, you search for the Darkness Metal, right? So, and then when we summon Darkness Metal, we bring this back. And the way that you chain block with Saryuja is when you link your 4 monsters for Saryuja, including this card, you're able to chain block Saryuja because you're able to go Saryuja chain link 1, Black Metal chain link 2. Black Metal is going to search for the vanilla Red Eyes, and then Saryuja is going to resolve. You're going to draw 4, so now you're less likely to draw this card, and because you searched it for free, you're pretty much going to get an additional free card off Saryuja, because the 4 that you draw, you can put less of them back because you added this card back. You could just because you searched this card, you could just add it back. So it's a really cool interaction. So Saryuja Chainlink 1, Black Metal Chainlink 2, search the vanilla. Saryuja resolves, drawing 4, and then you could just put this back in the deck because you're just going to send it to the grave using Verte Anaconda. So yeah, that's it for our monsters. It's a heavy monster count. I'm not even sure how many monsters that is. Moving on to the spells, we play 3 World Legacy Guard Dragon. It is still the best extender in my opinion, because if you draw this in any dragon that you can normal summon, if you draw this in any dragon, the dragon could do nothing on summon, but because this card exists, you're able to go into Saryuja very easily, and it's such a good card to draw with, like Chamber, or it's the best card to draw this with is actually Parlor Dragonmaid, because Parlor Dragonmaid could just send Chamber to the grave, and then you can revive Chamber with World Legacy Guard Dragon, and then World Legacy Guard Dragon being able to move monsters to the dragons to the different zones is just very relevant, because that's how you're able to easily get into Saryuja because of that effect. Don't the prismatics look beautiful? Man, I'm so happy that the tins actually gave us like so many rarity bumps. Yeah, they just look gorgeous. That's that. And then for the Dragonmaid spells, we play 2 Hospitality, 1 Dragonmaid Changeover. So we played 3 before, but again, we just have so many more extenders that we play, that it's totally fine if we cut this card down by 1. Also, it's a once per turn effect, right? So because it's a hard once per turn, it sucks to draw multiples, even though we could shuffle them back with Saryuja, but it's searchable, so it's totally fine. Chamber searches this. I don't really miss it. Like, I've done testing with this deck. I took it to locals yesterday, and it was doing fine. I didn't really miss the 3rd copy. So and then Changeover, you play 1 Changeover again because it's searchable through Chamber. It's you could gain access to it from Parlor as well. You can draw it off Saryuja. There's just so many ways to access the card, so 1 is fine. Plus it recycles itself, which is amazing, because you could just target a Dragonmaid monster you control, send it back to the extra deck or hand. It says hand, but obviously game mechanics goes back to the extra deck if it's an extra deck monster, and then you just add this back to your hand, so it just keeps recycling itself. So yep. And then we play 3 Quick Launch to help us gain access to Rocket Tracer mainly. It's just a really good extender, being a quick play, and then it's not a hard once per turn. It's not a soft one. It's soft once per turn. You could activate multiple copies. If you draw 2 copies, you could have to activate both copies. If you draw 3 copies, you could activate all 3 to summon 3 rockets from the deck and be able to combo off. It's just a great extender. And then for the next new card that we play is 3 Chaos Space. Chaos Space helps us get access to White Dragon, Black Dragon, and Levianeer. Just a very good card. It's also another card, again, that replaces itself, because when you discard you discard a monster for the activation for the cost of this card. So it could be seen as a 2-for-1, but it's really not. It's because this card, when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it, target one of your banished monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set, put it into the deck, put it to the bottom of the deck, and then draw a card. You could even recycle extra deck monsters, which is nice. So if you have extra deck monsters that are banished, you can just banish this card, target one of the extra deck monsters, send it back to the, shuffle it back, not shuffle it back, but put it to the bottom of the deck technically, and then draw a card, which is super nice, because not only, so you manage your resources very well with this card, and it replaces itself. So it's yet another card that replaces itself. And then moving on to our other extenders, we have Dragon Shrine. So Dragon Shrine can send any dragon to the deck. It can act as a very good extender because we can send Tempest. We can send Apsa Router, so we could search any rocket to the hand. We can send any Dragonmaid that we may be missing. So if we open up Hospitality, we can just send any Dragonmaid and then activate Hospitality to revive that Dragonmaid, and then just start getting the ball rolling from there. So just really good. So Dragon Shrine, we play at 3 because it's amazing to open that card. It makes any hand better because we're able to set our graveyard up. So we want our combos to resolve. We want to be able to end on the best possible board, and so we need to push through hand traps. I will say this deck does a very good job of pushing through hand traps because there's just so many cards that you can ash in this deck, and I feel like you would still be able to combo off. Even same thing, even Imperm. So it sucks that this can't hit Imperm, but that's why Imperm is an amazing card. But it doesn't really matter because you can still play through Imperm because of cards like Striker Dragon and Romulus and all these cards that help you extend and get into your extenders, get into your combo pieces. But again, it's nice to be able to stop an Ash, stop a Veiler, stop an Ogre, because Ogre is pretty annoying. I mentioned this before, but Ogre getting rid of the body sucks. I say the worst. I feel like the worst hand trap probably for any combo player is Gamma, because Gamma negates the monster effect and it takes the body off board. So you can't even use it as link material. You can't use it to keep going and extend. So again, this is the worst card against Gamma, and obviously Imperm, but actual monsters, Gamma, Nibiru. But it's still very nice because you could always set it and then it'll act as its own interruption, which is nice. So you play 3, playing a combo deck. We're trying to get to the best board possible. Now for the 1-ofs, we play 1 Foolish, sends anything to the graveyard. We play 1 Dragon Ravine. We play 1 Dragon Ravine because if we open Divine Lance up, I want to be able to search Ravine as a just a free card off Romulus. And then if we search Ravine, obviously we're going to search Divine Lance. You're going to search Divine Lance most of the time, but there are going to be scenarios where you're going to choose Ravine over Divine Lance, depending on what your hand looks like. Dragon Ravine, awesome card. Discard any of your cards from the hand, and then send any Dragon type monster to the graveyard, which is cool because there's some cool interactions where you just get it becomes a free. It pretty much becomes it acts as another Dragon Shrine or Foolish because you can just send Tempest. If you draw Tempest, you can send Tempest, discard Tempest, and then send another Dragon type from your deck to the grave. If you draw Galactic, you can discard Galactic. So there's these cards that just gain you free advantage, so you don't really feel the discard fodder. And then we have Boot Sector Launch, another free card that we search off. We search off Striker Dragon, and it's an amazing extender because it allows us to special summon rockets from our hand. And then if our opponent controls more monsters than us, we can summon rockets from the grave, which is awesome. And then lastly, for the last two spells, we play Monster Reborn to revive anything that we need to revive. It's good going second because we could revive our opponent's monsters as well, and then we can just get gain anything, get anything from the graveyard. So it's really good. Monster Reborn is Monster Reborn, and then lastly, Red Eyes Fusion. Pretty much probably the worst card to draw in the whole deck. But again, it's not that bad because we play Saryuja. Because we play Saryuja, I just see it as a free card that I could shuffle back. So it's not really that bad. I mean, worst case scenario, you could just activate Red Eyes Fusion, end on Dragoon, and pass. I guess if your hand is that terrible, but otherwise it's not even if it is one of the worst cards to draw, it's still not that bad because we play Saryuja. Saryuja's just an amazing card. Love that card. And then lastly, for the traps, we play 3 Infinite Impermanence, and then we play Dragonmaid Tidying. Imperm is Imperm. Being a trap it's really cool because it could get rid of all Appaloosa's negates, and then we can activate on our opponent's turn. It can't be called by the grave. I think my favorite effect has to be the column negation. because I've negated there can be only ones. I've negated a rivalry with Zombie World, which is it's so cool. It's just so cool to have this in the same column and then feel that security, that sense of security. Like if, say for example, you declare an attack on an opponent's monster and they activate a spell or trap or whatever, and then you could just chain infinite permanence, target the monster, and then negate that spell or trap. I love the versatility of this card. This card's like, it's so good. It's still expensive for a reason, even after 2 reprints. And then one of my favorite traps is Dragonmaid Tidying. I love searching this card just to be able to like set it as an additional disruption, because it does act as a compulse for anything. You could target a dragon monster you control and one card your opponent controls, or in the graveyard, which is like, it's crazy, it's insane, and then send them both to the hand. And then during so you could only use one effect. It has 2 effects. The second effect is you could banish it from the grave. You could special summon any Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard. That's so busted. So you could send this card off Parlor, link Parlor off, and then banish this, summon Parlor, and then go into a link 2, start comboing off. It's just a super solid card. So that's it for the main deck. Wow, we're already over 31 minutes in. That's crazy. And then going over our extra deck. First, we're going to go over the link ones. We play Striker Dragon. Striker Dragon's awesome because it searches for Boot Sector Launch for free. All it takes is 1 level 4 or lower Dragon type monster. So it actually helps us so much. It helps us get into our combos, start our combos so easily, because if we normal summon Chamber or Parlor, we activate the effect. They use Veiler, they use Ash, they stop it somehow, or Impermanence or whatever. We can just simply link it off into Striker Dragon and get a +1 anyway. It's just so free. It's so good. And having more dragons in the grave is also nice, because we could it helps us banish for white dragon, black dragon. It also helps us banish for Levianeer. So I like having as many dragons as possible in the graveyard. And besides, we could shuffle it back with Chaos Space, as I mentioned before. And then for the rest of the link ones, we play LP and Pisty. These guys should be self-explanatory by now. Shoutouts to the Mega Tins. Look at this, guys. Isn't that amazing? These 2 were supers. This was an ultra rare, and they all got prismatic rare slots in the Megatins. They look absolutely gorgeous. I love it. So yeah, Pisty and LP, self-explanatory. Summon any dragon from the deck or hand. Summon any dragon from the banished zone or graveyard. Super nice. So yeah. So those are all our link 1s, and then for our link 2s, we play Romulus, Hieratic Seal, and then for the new guy, Verte Anaconda. So this guy is my favorite link 2 in the game. Hieratic Seal just does so much for any dragon deck. I definitely talked about this in the other Dragonmaid deck profile, but it's such a good card, guys. Like, it bounces anything, including your cards, if you need to. So you could tribute it, or tribute any dragon type monster, but ideally you always tribute this to gain its secondary effect. But you tribute this card, bounce any card back to the hand or extra deck, and then when this card's tributed, it summons any dragon from the deck. So you could summon Brotar, discard a card, search Levianeer. You could summon Absorouter. So if they get rid of Absorouter, you search Tracer. You could summon Tempest, so that way you have another extender next turn. You could just summon so much, man. This card is like, I love this card. So not only is it a standalone disruption that's super easy to summon, all it is 2 dragon monsters. It's 2 dragon monsters, that's it. You tribute this card, bounce a card, and then it replaces itself. You gain more advantage, your opponent loses cards. Romulus, another card that got the prismatic slot in the Megatins. Romulus searches you for Ravine or Divine Lance, which gains you access to Phalanx. Phalanx special summons itself. Free extenders, pointers are amazing. It being a wind is actually pretty nice because of a card I'll show you in the extra deck. And then Verte Anaconda is just amazing because it's pretty much equivalent, almost the equivalent of Nightmare Mermaid, because all it is 2 effect monsters. 2 effect monsters, super easy. Oh my god. You could just, like any monsters that you don't need anymore, 2 effect monsters. Make Anaconda, free Dragoon. It's a no-brainer. Dragoon is busted. This card's paying 2,000 life points? Gladly. I'll pay half my life points. No problem. To summon Dragoon, so you summon this last before you summon Dragoon, obviously. So you'll be able to like end with Hieratic Seal, Shao, and then you'll summon this, and then summon Dragoon. So you'll have 3 very, very strong disruptions. You'll have 2 Omni Negates, and then you'll have the bounce. And that's the normal, the board that you always end with. So before we ended with IP, right? We did the IP, and then we did the whole Appaloosa play, or Unicorn. But now we end with Dragoon. Or you could end with Borrowed Savage Dragon. So yeah. And then for the only Link 3, we play Triple Burst. Triple Burst just gets you out of those awkward situations where you need a pointer that, you know, points down. But the thing is, in the new combo that I mentioned earlier with Black Metal Dragon, you need Triple Burst even more now. But Triple Burst is just awesome. I love the battle phase effect, actually, because it can negate anything that activates in the damage step, and it takes piercing, and then say it survives, like it's still on the board the next turn. It says during the main phase, except the turn this card was special summon, you contribute this card, target 1 Link 2 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Then you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower dragon monster from your hand. That's super busted. Like, I mean, granted, he will never like stay on the field for a whole turn, but say he does, say like you attack, and then you just like end your turn, and then during your next turn, you're able to just, it's just so good, guys. Like you could revive, like LP or Pisty, and then summon another dragon from your hand. And then if you have like World Legacy Guard Dragon, and you're like, you know, you have any other Link, and you're able to like get those pointers, or if your opponent has a Link point, gives you a Link pointer, you could summon this and be able to resolve Pisty or LP. Super nice. And then for the Link 4s, we play Saryuja, and then we play Access Code Talker. So Saryuja, as I mentioned before, it's such a powerful card in this deck, because not only does it draw you into more combo pieces and extenders, but it also shuffles bricks back into the deck. So it could shuffle back Red Eyes Fusion, Dark Magician, Red Eyes. It could shuffle back multiple copies of, like, you know, World Legacy Guard Dragon. Say you drew multiple copies, that card's obviously hard once per turn. You could shuffle the one of those copies back. It's just so good. The special summon from the hand. You know, I use every effect of Saryuja. Even the attack gain is relevant. So we added Access Code Talker in this version of the deck, because once you set up your board, so your board is already as is, it's pretty tough to get over, right? But it's so not, like, just in case, like, say they super poly you, and they leave you with Hieratic Seal, and I don't know, you have like Anaconda, like you have a pretty like subpar, you know, board left compared to what you started with. So you have this follow-up. You have this to follow up with, because you're going to gain advantage with Hieratic Seal, and you're going to be able to extend enough to where you're going to be able to summon this guy. And then this guy being able to boost his attack to get over big monsters, and then, you know, just popping cards on the field. So the reason that I said that Romulus being a wind is very relevant is because you want different attributes in your grave. So look, we have wind, obviously we have dark, and then we have light, and we have earth. So look at that, guys. That is 4 cards that we can pop on our opponent's side of the field with Access Code Talker, and your opponent cannot respond. That's Code Talker's effect, is when you could banish a Link monster, and then you can destroy a card on the field, non-targeting, and then your opponent cannot respond to the activation of that effect. So you can banish Saryuja, destroy a card. You could use this effect multiple times as long as you banish cards with link monsters with different attributes. So if you banish an earth, you can't banish another earth, but we have a light. Banish a light, pop another card. Banish a dark, pop another card. Banish a light, pop another card. And what's crazy is that when you summon this guy, you'll have all of these attributes in the grave. Isn't that insane? That's so crazy. You'll have all these attributes. Like you might be missing the light only because it's one of our few light targets for Levianeer. But chances are you're gonna like banish like White Dragon or even safer for Levianeer. So you're still gonna have access to this card in the graveyard for Access Code Talker. So look at that. That's insane. Like after you've negated everything, and then you want to push for a game, you could pop four cards, and they can't respond if they have to activate something before he activates or on resolution of his effect. Because once they pass priority to you and you're able to just go off, once you activate this effect, they can't respond. It's super nice. Like they can't respond, and it's non-targeting destruction. And he could get so big. He could get up to one time. Like there was a game where I actually needed him to get over 6K, believe it or not. And in order for me to get him over 6K, I needed to summon Saryuja, and then I needed to use Saryuja as a link 1 with 3 other monsters, or a link 2 and another monster, or him as a link 1 and then a link 3. But my main point is that I needed to use Saryuja as a link material for him, so he can target Saryuja and he'll gain 4,000 attack. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He's a link 4. He'll gain 4,000 attack. And I was able to beat over that monster because that monster was unaffected by card effects. And I beat over the monster, and then I started popping his cards, and I took the game from there. So yeah, man. Access Code Talker. Sorry for rambling on too much, guys. I'm just, again, as always, I just want to make sure that I give you all the information possible. And then moving on to the fusions, we play 2 House and we play 1 Xiao. Okay, so we play 2 and 2, and I thought about something. There was no reason to play 2 copies of this card, hear me out, because this card puts itself back to the extra deck. And what's more important is actually having 2 House, because when you negate, after you negate, it's mandatory that you have to return this. When you use the effect to negate, you return this to the extra deck and then summon House. You have to be able to you have to have this in your extra deck to be able to activate this effect. If you don't have this in your extra deck, then this Xiao is basically just a 3,500 beater. But the thing is, Xiao puts itself back in the extra deck. So after you summon this, and then during your next turn, say you use this card and another Dragonmaid to fusion summon for the same copy of Xiao that you put back in your extra deck, you want to have a second copy in the extra deck of House to be able to negate again. See, so I hope that makes sense. So that's why you only play 1 copy. That's why only 1 copy is needed. Say they get rid of this, right? This is the reason that you're able to only play 1 copy of this card as opposed to playing 1 copy of House is because when House gets special summoned from Xiao, it's not counted as a fusion summon. So if it leaves the field, you can't special summon it back with any revival spells. Whereas Xiao is properly fusion summoned because the way that we get access to this card is through changeover. When we activate changeover, that's a fusion summon. So even if they get rid of this card after it's been fusion summoned, say you use its effect to negate, they use Gamma, you go, okay, no problem. And then if you have Chamber on the field, Chamber can send itself back to the hand, and Chamber can revive Xiao. And it can revive Xiao because Xiao was fusion summoned properly. Whereas it wouldn't be able to revive House because House was special summoned from the extra deck, not fusion summoned. And then for Dragoon, the guy that everybody hates, I can't believe how many times, like, if I'm playing online, if I use Verte, I send Red Ice Fusion, they just scoop instantly because Dragoon's coming out. This card is super oppressive. This card is not a balanced card. You know, whenever we call to, cards are balanced, this card's not balanced. And the reason that it's not balanced is because it's not because of so he's not balanced because of his overpowered effects, but it's not that. It's because Verte Anaconda is a card. So this card, he's actually not that hard to summon I'd say, like, say if you're playing like a pure Red Eyes deck, if you don't mind on just summoning this, setting traps and passing, that's super strong. It's pretty nice. But the thing is, he's so broken because you can summon him in addition to all your other negators or negates. So like you would summon him after summoning Shao, after summoning you could choose to summon Borderlord Savage Dragon, after summoning Hieratic Seal, and then you summon this guy. This guy's super oppressive on his own, and to be able to summon him in addition to all those other cards is insane, and that's possible because of Verte. Now, his actual effect can be targeted. That effect is so like hard to deal with. It's so hard to deal with. Lily, calm down. My cat Lily is going insane right now. She's super excited. She's excited for this deck as much as I am. So Dragoon, not being targeted, not being able to target this card is insane. You can't imperm this card. You can't Veiler this card. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can't Ogre this card. Say with Invoked, if you had Mechaba on the field and they use Mechaba to negate, people would Ogre Mechaba so they don't have to deal with that card next turn. Okay, and Mechaba negates and banishes. And so Mechaba actually has a stronger like negate because it doesn't destroy, it banishes, which is like way better. But people still feel like that's it's a much more fair card. It's much more fair, much fairer. It's because it can be targeted. It can be destroyed by card effects. It doesn't have a 3k body. It has a 2500 attack body. This card, when it negates and successfully destroys a card, it gains 1000 attack permanently. 4,000 attack if it negates and destroys one card. That's insane. So you're telling me chances are he's going to negate and destroy something that you control. At 3,000, he was already hard to get over. But, there's some cards that you can access, like, from your hand, like, say, Danger Bigfoot, right? Danger Bigfoot, if you could summon Danger Bigfoot, you could attack over this card. You could crash 3k if they don't they don't negate the Bigfoot. You could just, crash, attack. But the thing is, if it negated a card prior to you summoning the Bigfoot or summoning Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon, or any other 3k beater, this card becomes 4k. Now suddenly you can't get over this card, and it can destroy monsters your opponent controls up to twice per turn. Because we use Red Eyes Black Dragon and Dark Magician, it could destroy 2 monsters your opponent controls non-targeting. The monsters don't have to be face up. They could be face down, defense position monsters, doesn't matter. Dragoon can destroy them and they take burn damage. I don't know why all this is on one card. I really don't. But the thing is, because this card exists, and because we can easily summon it, it would be really stupid not to play this card. Because this card alone can just end games. Say your opponent negates everything. They restrict you from summoning Shao. They restrict you from summoning Saryuja, from summoning Romulus, from summoning Access Code Talker. If you have access to 2 cards, and that's super simple because Tracer, the rocket monster, can pop any face-up card you control, summon another rocket from the deck. That's 2 effect monsters. Summon Verte, summon Dragoon. So it's you playing Dragoon in this deck allows you to play through hand traps even more, because even if they hand trap you, they're losing cards. And if you end on Dragoon after they've lost resources in their hand, that's super oppressive, because now they're going to try to bait out Dragoon, and if you keep holding Dragoon until for something crucial to negate, now he becomes 4,000 attack. He can't be targeted. It's super to get over him. If they pass with monsters on the field, you're just going to pop those monsters, take burn damage, and be able to attack for a game. Super sick card. And then lastly, we play 1 Synchro and 1 XEs. So we play Borderlord Savage Dragon because there's these nutty situations where you will have access to Borderlord Savage and Dragoon and Shao. You'll have access to all 3 of those cards with Hieratic Seal. But those are very rare occasions. But also sometimes, depending on the matchup, you could save Dragoon for the following turn. And the reason I say this is because it's harder to summon Borreload Savage Dragon on your following turn. It's harder to summon this than it is to summon Dragoon. Because if you summon, for Dragoon, all you need is 2 effect monsters for Verte. Any 2 effect monsters. For this, you need a synchro, not a synchro, a tuner and a non-tuner. Specifically, a level 4 tuner and a level 4 non-tuner, because that's kind of the only way to summon this is through the rockets and White Dragon, Baby Dragon, but mainly using Rocket Tracer as a tuner. So when you summon this using Rocket Tracer and you have this as backup, so you're able to, this is still an Omni Negate. It doesn't have the same protection as Dragoon, but it's still very powerful, still gains attack. It's still very hard to get over. So you being able to, if you wanted to summon this first and keep this as a backup play, because you're confident that what you've established is enough, then you could just hold this. Then next turn, summon this, pop monsters, attack for a game. It's insane. And then Boral Savage is also a good recovery play. Say they get over Dragoon somehow, and they get over Shao, and they get over Hieratic Seal, and they get over any other disruptions you may have, like Imperm, Call by the Grave. This as a backup play is awesome because all you need is to be able to have Tracer pop a card, and then summon this, and just like that you're able to establish another negate, another monster that negates. And you could just attach Saryuja. Saryuja will give it it'll give 1400 attack in addition to 4 Boral counters to be able to negate once during your opponent's turn, once during your turn, twice. And then the reason we play Dingirsu, we play Galactic Spiral Dragon, as I showed you guys before in the main deck. And Galactic Spiral Dragon can turn anything or all monsters into level 8s. So you easily have access to this card. This card going second is awesome. I wanted a card that would have non-destruction removal. I wanted to have access to that card. And because it's a dark, even if I use Tracer's effect early on in the duel or in the turn, if I use Tracer's effect early on in the turn, then I'll be locked into darks, but I'll still be able to summon this because it's a dark. And Dingirsu, just having that non-targeting removal, that non-destruction removal it's fantastic, especially going second. 2600 beater. It could protect your cards by detaching materials. So nothing else to say about that. I would highly recommend playing this card. I think this extra deck is honestly, I feel like in this extra deck you have answers for almost anything, because you have destruction that your opponent can't respond to. You have negates for days, right? You have negates in the form of these 3 monsters. You also have non-destruction, non-targeting removal, and then this is non-targeting removal in the form of destruction. House, anytime a Dragonmaid monster gets sent back to your hand, you can pop a monster your opponent controls. It does target and it does destroy, but honestly, it is just such free value because you're summoning this card for free off Shao. So say you negate with Shao, you get this on board, they try to attack over something. If you're able to bounce one of your Dragonmaid monsters back, using their own effects to tag out, then you could easily pop your opponent's monsters. So look at this. You have 3 negates. You have destruction removal right here. This doesn't target. Non-destruction removal does not target. And then you have this last card right here, which is non-destruction, non-targeting removal as well. So it's similar to Dingirsu, but it's even better because it's a quick effect. And it doesn't actually... So this sends to the grave, which your opponent might benefit off of. This sends it back to the hand or extra deck. So if it's an extra deck monster, it goes back to the extra deck. So this is one of the best removals you have in your extra deck. So you have so many ways to be able to disrupt your opponent and break through their board. And then also, I didn't include this because these are extra deck monsters, but you also have Levianeer in your main deck. Levianeer, being able to have access to Levianeer when you're locked under the Buster Lock is really good. Plus, it's another way to destroy cards on the field without targeting. So non-destruction removal, non-destruction, non-targeting removal, non-targeting, non-destruction removal. This is destruction, non-targeting, and then you also have Levianeer. So it's super good. I feel there's so many answers, and then like everything else basically gets your combo started, except you know, Anaconda gets you your negate, but all these other cards. Look at this. It's 6 cards that gets you know, extends your plays and gets you into these cards. You know. Guys, that it. You know what? Actually, I have the side deck in the thumbnail, so I might as well show you the side deck. So in the side deck, we play 3 Gamma, 1 Frame. Gamma, as I mentioned before, it's an os. It's just like, I feel like it's the best hand trap in the current meta right now, because against all the combo decks, being able to negate the monster and remove it is just fantastic, because then they can't go into Link Ross, they can't go into Needle Fiber. So just super good. And then we play 3 Nibiru because Nibiru. So we main deck 2 copies of this card. Notice that I only had 3 Imperm for our hand traps in the main deck. That's because all our other cards are extenders, which help us a lot to push through hand traps, which is nice. So I didn't want to main deck Nibiru. I would rather main deck more of the other engine cards. You know, I added 3 Chaos Space, the White Dragon, the Black Dragon, Noctovision Dragon. We added Black Metal Dragon. We added the 3 Safer. So I wanted more cards to contribute to our combos, because we want to be able to play. I don't want to really depend on like, I don't want to stop my opponent from playing, and then at the cost of me not being able to play. I want to be able to draw as many combo pieces as I can and be able to play. And then, you know, games 2 and 3, that's when I'll be able to side accordingly, because I know if I'm going first or second, or I'm pretty sure if I'm going first or second. So 3 Nibiru, because again, it shuts down so many combo decks if it's used correctly at the right time. And also for Rogue, it's really good. Like, say if you play like BA, Salmon Great, like even at Emancipator, if they don't have like enough extenders, they can't play through Nibiru, which is nice. And then also like Orcus too. I forgot to mention that, Orcus. And then 3 Dark Ruler for going, obviously for going second. Dark Ruler is just really good because it stops a lot of like floodgate monsters, say like Winda. It could stop, like, say, like a whole Emancipator board. Like if they don't have the Buster Lock and you activate this, you're pretty much free to, you know, do your thing. And, you know, as you saw before, we just have so many ways of like clearing boards going second. Like Access Code Talker will be able to like clear everything that they have. And then we'll just be able to take the duel from there, because we'll establish our own negates, so they can, you know, which hopefully they won't be able to play through. And then just for back row, we play 2 Cosmic and 3 Evenly. 3 Evenly because it's just, you know, it's evenly matched. You banish cards until they control 1 card. It's non-destruction, non-targeting removal. We always like that in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's there's less restriction. The only bad restriction is use your battle phase, yes, but because you're going to establish a board, hopefully after wiping their board out, it's a very small price to pay, because chances are you're just going to be able to OTK the following turn anyway. And then Cosmic Cyclone. If I had more space, I mean, I could technically maybe work on the side deck a bit more, and I could probably find space for a 3rd Cosmic. But I really like Cosmic because it's a quick play. Remember, you're playing a 60-card deck, so it's going to be harder to see any of these side deck cards unless you're like siding in like multiple at a time. So say for like combo, you would pretty much side like 10 cards, right? Because 3 Gamma, 1 Driver, 3 Dark Ruler, 3 Nibiru. So there's going to be a good chance you're going to see this. Plus you have like Imperm for combo decks as well. It's going to be less likely that you see the cards for back row, because you only side 5 in. So I mean, there's still a good chance. I mean, there's a chance you still will see them. I'm just saying it's less of a chance because you're playing a 60-card deck. But hopefully, because we play so many like extenders, we're able to push through back row as well. Guys, wow, we're at almost an hour. If you guys stuck around, honestly, like, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you guys decided to stick around and you know, take the time to really listen and listen to what I had to say, especially about this deck. I'm really enjoying this deck, like, big time. I have like just being able to play Dragonmaids at a more competitive level has been super awesome. Like, I love, summoning Shao and using the Dragonmaid cards, summoning Chamber, tagging out for Lorepar, popping with House. I love those interactions. I love the advantage you gain off the Dragonmaid cards alone. They are awesome cards, and to be able to play them in a Dragon Link deck that helps utilize them to their maximum potential is awesome. And then having the addition of like powerful cards like Dragoon, having more cards to access, like White Dragon, Black Dragon through Chaos Space. It's just taking this deck to the next level. I hope you guys decide to give it a chance. If you guys want another like test hand combo video, I would be happy to show you guys, just not in this video, obviously, because we're already over an hour. Guys, thank you so much for watching as always, and have a great day or good night. Take care.